shit. Where in the fuck? This is already on. Where in the fuck is my phone? That's fucking awesome. Alright. So, I hear it. I got my iPad doing this, and I lost my phone. Oh, what a goon. What a fucking goon. Alright. So what I gotta do here is this evening I have to stay up late because I've got a weird schedule for the next 2 days. Um, just a strange schedule. So I'm gonna try to stay up late, and then tomorrow evening I've got to. It's just a real weird schedule. I got to go to work at like 10 o'clock tomorrow night, and then just some weird shit. So, what we're going to do here is talk about mechanics, and I'm just going to use this as kind of a video, but I don't feel like doing a video. I'd rather just do it live and show you guys kind of some of the ways that I get people changing their mechanics. Show you guys some of the ways that that I break things down to people to get them to actually change something instead of just basically going through the motions over and over and over again and not really changing the movement pattern. One of the most difficult things we can possibly do is change a movement pattern. Learning how to do shit and the efficiency of this or the efficiency of that isn't that big of a deal. It's not that hard. Changing your movement patterns into a new movement pattern is kind of freaking hard, right? It's always difficult. Everybody that I have trained with me, there's always this kind of honeymoon phase where they're like all pumped about all this new information coming in, and they're pumped about seeing themselves when I break it down and show them what they're doing and give them a million ways to fix it. They're like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm gonna crush this. I'll be able to stop doing that, and I'll be able to stop doing that, and I'm gonna do this little thing, and bing, bang, boom, we're going to be tight. Well, then they start realizing about week 2, week 3, how hard it is to actually make yourself change your movement patterns. And then there's a bit of like a frustration period, and then there's a coming through that frustration period to the seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, seeing things start to click, seeing things like, okay, it is going to take me longer, it is a little bit harder process than I thought, but I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I feel what I'm doing wrong now. Now I can diagnose myself instead of having to have somebody else diagnose me. And that's just the general cycle of how it goes. There's the kind of the honeymoon phase. Everything is freaking awesome. And then a frustration period. And then kind of coming through at the end. So what we're going to do here is I'll show you some of the ways that I get people to change. And then some of the ways that I do things myself. So first things first, we'll just talk about draw and go through the motions of a couple different draw drills and micro drills, things like that for the draw. So draw wise, I basically just want people to do it very, very well and very, very efficiency based for a while. Efficiency and fluidity. I want you to pretty much split them 50-50. So efficiency and fluidity, I want you to do as minimum as humanly possible to present the gun in front of your face. Okay? You don't have to scoop, you don't have to do the conventional style. I'm just gonna do conventional just to show you guys. Okay? And the biggest thing is combining that efficiency with fluidity and making sure that no other body parts are moving. All right, our two hands are moving because they have to do something. If we're leaning over, if we're cranking our head, if we're kind of doing this, even if it's a little bit, it still matters. If you really truly want to get your shit together to the highest level and on draw, reload, stuff like that, why not? You don't have to be the best USPSA shooter on planet Earth, But why not kind of get the draw really good? It's so easy. It's so easy to do, and it's so easy to practice. Why not get it right? So just think about doing things really, really well. Don't worry about doing them fast, just worry about doing them well. Efficiency and fluidity, combine that together to where you're actually doing something. So, about that speed, nothing special. And start feeling the pathway. Perfect, perfect reps. Perfect reps. Perfect reps. Perfect reps. Okay? Perfect freaking reps. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Don't worry about going fast. Just perfect. If you want to change something about your draw, find a particular, precise thing that you want to change and then work that. Do not say, I just want a better draw. Everyone that's ever said, I want a better draw or better reload, and then they just practiced it, never got it. Pick an area. Pick a pointed thing to change, a pointed thing to work on, and figure out. So, just worry about doing a couple perfect reps, feeling what's going on, and then say, okay, where's my area of focus at? Where do I want to really, truly focus on the draw at this particular moment? Maybe it's what your support hand is doing. Maybe it's what your support hand is doing. Maybe you need to get your support hand into the game a little bit quicker. Maybe you need to get that support hand up and starting to roll over and on gun and meeting, greeting, marrying a little bit quicker, right? Maybe it's applying grip as you present to the target and not necessarily trying to grip here and then present. Maybe it's backing it back and trying to grip a little bit better here as you present and doing a little bit of the opposite of that. Depending on your shooting and where your weaknesses are, you have to have pointed places of study, pointed little shit to work on. Hey, what's up, man? So we're talking about a few things here. I just wanted to do a video, but not do a video. I just figured, fuck it, put it on live, and I'll just kind of run through some of this shit for a little bit here. Got to waste some time, try to stay up late tonight so that I can start a weird schedule for the next 2 days. So I'm trying to stay up late and mess around here, get some dry practice in, and try to sleep in tomorrow. So we'll see. So what we're talking about is changing movement patterns and making sure that when you're doing reps in your dry practice that you're doing them and actually changing shit, not just keep doing reps. Reps on reps on reps. That's great once you're happy with where you are. See, so many people, they think that just reps are going to get them where they want to be. Reps are only good when you're happy with what you're doing. Really. All right? Otherwise, it needs to be purposeful, pointed, freaking awesome, perfect reps to change shit. If I'm happy, like I'm happy with basically where my mechanics are, I'm happy with where my draw is, I'm happy with where my reload is, that means all I have to do at this point is do reps, right? And then in those reps, every once in a while I'll find some things, or in a match or at the range I'll find a little something to work on that's more specific, okay? But reps aren't going to do you a whole lot of good unless you're happy with the shit you're already doing. If you're not happy with the shit you're already doing, reps are just reinforcing the shit you're not happy with. So don't just do reps, do pointed, fucking perfect reps. Try not to curse. So pointed, perfect reps, perfect reps, perfect reps. So we'll work through a couple of things here. We're doing some draw reps, just perfect reps, seeing what it feels like. Okay, and a concept for you guys to start thinking about on the draw is not necessarily coming up and down on the gun, but to come in on the gun. The same way we do from appendix and we come in on it, I'm doing the exact same thing from this. So everybody talks about my scoop draw and how I do the scoop draw. It's not really even a scoop draw. It's almost like a hybrid draw. So it's about in between the scoop and the up and down draw. So instead of coming up and down on the gun, I'm coming in this way, right towards my center line. Pow, pow, pow. And I just come up and out with it as I go in on it, grip, up and out. And when I'm doing it fast, it looks like I'm just basically going and scooping it up out of there, but I'm really not. There's a tiny bit of a lag there. There's a tiny bit of a gripping portion there. So it's that inboard pressure towards the inside that allows me to do that and allows me to do it very, very consistently. Now, also with that, it allows me to maintain a level 2 draw or level 3 draw, because I like to be really at the same level of performance from any gear. So I can't do a scoop draw to the point where I get so used to doing scoop draws with USPSA gear, because then I throw on a level 2 holster or a level 3 holster and look like a jackass. Can't do that. When I go teach this guy or this guy, and they're from this place or this place, and they have to use this gear or whatever the hell it is, I have to be able to use that gear at a high level. So that inboard motion of coming in on the gun this way, in towards the center, boom, it allows me to get all the benefits of the scoop draw and still be able to do it from level 2, level 3 holster, because basically the same thing. All I got to do is come in and hit my button. Pow! Right? The only reason I don't have my level 2 holster right now is because I let my brother borrow it, and you know how that is. I just haven't gotten it back. I haven't asked for it back. But the next thing is, with the scoop draw, a lot of people think that I'm moving my hands fast. The scoop draw is so, or the hybrid draw that I'm doing, is so efficient that I do not have to move my hands fast. If you get your efficiency level to a place and you're prepping trigger and able to break shots, you don't have to move fast. It's the same reason I blow people's minds with this every time I do a private class or a class with a couple people, especially USPSA guys. Blow their fucking minds. So what I'll do is I'll have them run a short stage. So we got a target here, a target here, a target here, a target here, 3 little targets. We'll do 1 on those and a target there. So the stage is, I gotta move up, ding ding, ding ding, ding ding, ding ding, ding ding, ding ding, ding. Okay, just a little bit of movement. I'll add obviously a good bit more movement into it when I'm doing a class, just because I got more room. But I'll have them run it, and they go, and really move around. And I'm like, okay, that was a 755. Okay, and then have another guy run it or whatever. Okay, that was an 8 flat, whatever the times are. And then I'll run it and go like this. And it's a 5. How's that possible? You walked around. I literally walked from spot to spot. I just shot more often, and I didn't do as much as they did. They did a lot more moving. They did a lot more moving around. They did a lot more jerking. They did a lot more over swinging and over confirming. Because of that over swinging and that frenetic motion, that earthquake on every target, because they're trying to be fast and moving their feet fast, and I had none of that. So I'm prepping triggers, ding ding, prepping trigger, ding ding, prep ding, prep ding, prep ding. I'm just flowing across, and it ends up being faster. And it always gets people thinking right away, okay, he's not trying to go fast, but he's going faster just by simply doing less. Okay, if you got to do 100 push-ups and I got to do 50, chances are I'm going to get them done first. It's just less work. If I got to carry 100 sandbags and you got to carry 300, it's going to be faster. It's less freaking work. Even if you work twice as hard, you're doing 3 times the work. So where's that go? Lots of internet celebrities, Instagram celebrities, YouTube celebrities do extra work because it looks a certain way. No bueno. So now let's get into, let's say you want to change your strong hand abilities to present, right? So we'll just go off the draw, but it's basically just the presentation. What we're going to do is work in percentages. So perfect, perfect, perfect reps and feel. So this is all about feel. All these little reps that we're doing, all this perfect shit that we're doing, it's about really feeling every single centimeter of movement as we do it. What does that feel like? Where's my wrists at? Where's my hands at? Perfect reps. If we don't do perfect reps and we just keep doing reps, none of the shit matters. Perfect reps. Perfect reps. So, I'm feeling. What does that feel like? Ooh, that feels good. I feel that my wrist is right here. When I'm perfect, I can see this little kind of tendon or whatever pop up in my hand. I can feel that. I can feel this right here. This little bar right here of tendon or muscle or whatever the hell, just when I present the gun out. I'm feeling exactly what that feels like. So when I go to do it one hand, strong hand, this is even more important because we don't have two big, bars attached to the gun. We've only got one. So perfect reps, presenting that thing out there and feeling what that feels like. And then, as you get better and better at it, start to add just the tiniest little bit of movement to it. Just, all right? Okay? Now, I'm plucking it out of the holster kind of fast because I already know how to do that. I'm not working on that. I'm working on the presentation part of it. Okay? I'm plucking it out of the holster, but I'm going and feeling that. And it's not about doing it fast. I'm not doing this and throwing it out there fast. I'm doing it perfect so that I can feel it. I can feel exactly the way my arm is. This goose head that we make, it needs to be nice. Okay? Right? That thing needs to be, you need to be able to start feeling all these things. Feel what the freaking thing feels like. And then you can start to repeat it. Strong hand should be fairly, a little low on that one, fairly close to the abilities of the freestyle. So now let's go to weak hand. Let's draw and present the gun weak-handed. Throw the gun over to the other hand. Now how do we do that? I'll throw you guys a little tip here. This is going to be, this is something that some people do it, some people have never thought about it, but especially for USPSA guys, this is going to come in handy for classifiers big time. And that is, even if you are a conventional draw guy, so even if you draw the gun like this, pow, right? When you pass the gun over to the left hand, you can then scoop draw it, because guess what? You know you're passing it to the left hand. You know you have to pass it to the left hand. Why would you purposely get a good grip with your right hand? Why would you bother with it? Why bother purposely getting a good grip with the right hand? You're just handing it to the left hand. You're just throwing it over to your left hand. Why bother getting a good grip? Don't bother. So scoop draw the gun and grab it like this. Okay, you can either grab it with your thumb all the way still on the side, or just kind of a thumbs up grip, and doesn't have to be a high grip. It's actually better if it's a little bit low, because as you pass it off, that creates more space to let your left hand get in. Okay, so scoop draw the gun up out, and you hand it over. Okay, now there's one other part of that. When you hand it over, I scoop, draw it up out. I don't worry about getting a good grip. I hand it over, and then I drag the handle out of my other hand. So I'm trying to take my right hand and drag the handle so that I can make sure that my left hand gets good and high. So scoop it, drag the handle, just that little bit. It's not, it's nothing crazy. It's just slight. Jack that up. Okay, I'm trying to exaggerate it a little bit. I really don't do it much at all, but it's just a little tug as it leaves, and then make sure that my left hand gets up on there. Hear it? It's just a little tug. Okay, and then as I present, if you notice, I kind of grab the gun with my thumb right here, like where Glocks have this little thumb nub. But then as I present it, I'm heeling into the gun. So I'm doing that pinching motion, the same kind of motion we want to do with our right hand as we drive the pinky into the back. So we're driving our pinky backwards and the web of our hand forward. I'm doing the same thing as I do this. I'm switching over. I grip it like this, just to kind of get a monkey grip on it, make sure I got a good hold on the gun. And then as I present it, I'm going, yep, and presenting that gun, the front sight down. And normally, if you notice, when you mispresent the weak hand, it's usually your dot or your front sight is usually high, and you need to push it down a little bit. That's normally what I see with most people. It's what I get for myself. So I just make sure that as I'm coming across, I kind of drag it. I grab kind of monkey style, and then I just kind of throw that little torque into it at the end. My dot goes whoop, right down in, bang. Then, one little tip for you guys when you're shooting weak hand, don't try to control recoil the same way you do with your strong hand. So when we're shooting strong hand, our strong hand is really used to being behind the gun in that way. Our weak hand isn't that used to it, so our weak hand is dumb. Our weak hand is uncoordinated compared to the left, or compared to the strong hand. So don't try to control recoil the same way and, you know, drive the gun. Go ahead and let it pick your arm up. Just, what that does is it allows you to control the recoil the way you want to. Allow your elbow to kind of let the gun and rock up and down. If you've got to make hard shots with the weak hand, this is definitely the way to do it. Definitely. Because then you're not going, okay, you know, my weak hand is dumb and my weak hand is weak and it's not as good at controlling recoil, so I'm really going to bear down on the gun. I'm going to bear down, and that's when you jerk shit. That's when you do stupid shit. So be a little softer about it and let that weak hand just go boom, boom, boom. And notice the wrist. I don't let my wrist snap. I let my elbow bend. So, and then I can end up with a little bit more vertical recoil. So, now we'll talk about doing the 50, 75, 100, and 110 rep speed. So let's talk about maybe reloads. You want to get your reloads a little bit better. Obviously, we want to do those reps and all that shit. You know, the perfect reps and all that the whole way up through, and we want to do these percentages with each individual thing that we're working on. And these percentages are what's really great, because you don't have to do slow reps and then fast reps. Like, what is that? So what I try to do is just feel it. And obviously we're not machines. We can't I can't give you exactly 72% of my full speed draw. Like, I don't mean like that. I just mean as far as effort wise, 50% of your speed. So if my draw is a 1 second draw, I'm going to do about a 2 second draw. So it's going to be slow. It's going to be perfect reps. Perfect reps. I'm adding a little breathing exercise into it, or doing whatever I got to do to slow myself down to the point where it's freaking perfect. So we go to a reload. I'm going to you miss it when you're going slow. So just as perfect as it gets. I mean, perfect. Okay? Perfect fucking reps. Like, it is so important. What's that say? Oh yeah, yeah. It doesn't matter what caliber you're shooting. All the stuff is all the stuff. It's the exact same. I shoot a 10 millimeter the same way as a 9 millimeter, same as a 22. Doesn't matter. Same old, same old. Grip the gun the same. Present the gun the same. Drive the gun the same. Basically, even shoot the same speed. To tell you the truth, with a 10 millimeter, I might slow down a hair, but I mean, I've had a 10 millimeter pistol before. I had a Rock Island 1911 in 10 millimeter, and I was able to do basically the same exact work. This was a couple years ago, so I wasn't as good as I am now, but I mean, I could do 2-second bill drills with it all day, just crank in on the gun like a maniac and let her rip. But yeah, with a 22 or something, you definitely, especially further, basically the splits never change with a 22. You could be at 25 yards and go pop, and it's damn near perfect every time. So you do have to respect it a little bit more at distance, but 10 yards and in, I'm going to shoot a 22, 10 millimeter, 9 millimeter, anything at the exact same speed. 10 yards and in, I'm going to go the exact same speed. 10 yards and out, things are going to start to slowly change relatively. But so let's talk about this this reload, and this goes for literally anything. If we want to do, let's say, a reload with a rack, okay, or a malfunction type clearance, right? 50% speed, we're just slowing things down and doing it freaking perfectly. Now, I went over the top that time. Usually, 99% of the time, I'm going to go right. Now, when I do malfunction clearances, I don't even incorporate the rack most of the time, or I don't even incorporate the tap most of the time. Nowadays, that just doesn't come up. One thing is, hey, if the magazine isn't on the ground, it's probably seated in the gun, right? If you have a magazine that's unseated and you go bang, click, that magazine's on the ground. So what I do is go straight to a rack. Most of the time it's just going to be a bad primer or something stupid like that. That is statistically the most likely thing. So statistically, I'm going to take my chances in my training and in my indoctrination, my inoculation of myself. I'm going to statistically take that chance and say, hey, I'm just going to rack the freaking pistol 100 miles an hour and then start shooting whatever in the face again. So if I get a malfunction, I'm going. There's no tap rack, hold the magazine in your teeth, and I'm not doing all that shit unless I absolutely have to, right? So this 50% speed, 75% speed, 100% speed, and then 110% speed can be used with anything. And like I said at the beginning, perfect reps, reps are only good if you are happy with the shit you're doing, okay? Dry practice is the place where we either ingrain the good shit that we want to ingrain, like what I mean by this is, okay, my draw is solid, I'm going to keep it where it is, I'm happy with it, I'm psyched on it, so now all I need to do is just rep it. All I need to do is just rep the shit out of it. But if there's even a tiny thing that I want to change about my draw, I don't want to just rep the shit out of it. Because if I just rep the shit out of it, I'm beating that tiny shitty thing into my draw. And I'm just pounding it. Just pounding it in there. And we don't want to do that, right? So perfect reps are the way to make sure that you don't do that. Perfect reps are the difference between staying at a certain level or growing, gaining, making sure that everything that you do has a freaking purpose to it. And you're doing perfect reps, making sure that you're doing that draw the exact way you want to do it. Not the way you do it now, the way you want to do it in the future. Keep on rocking her. Keep on making it happen. And then, this is hard to keep on task like this, to tell you the truth. We'll keep talking about reloads for 1 second. So, the reload. What the big deal is with most reloads. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, man, we want to do a lot of shit at 50%. 50% speed, 75% speed. So 50% is going to be, okay, that's probably a 2.5 second reload. Then 75% speed. Okay, starting to get a little bit tuned up. I'm going to do lots and lots at that speed as long as I feel like they're perfect still. I'm going to go 50% because I know they're perfect. Then I'm going to go 75% speed, and I'm going to keep going at 75%. 75% is close to that match mode speed. That's close to that speed that you want to be default, like you're wanting to do it all the time at that speed no matter what. You can basically do it with your eyes closed. Then once we get to 75 and we've done like a bunch and we're feeling good, we're doing perfect reps at 75. Not just doing reps at 75, we're actually doing them perfect. We're feeling really good about the 75% reps. Now it's time to turn it up to 100. Turning it up to 100 means you're at full match mode speed. You're even a touch above match mode speed. You're basically at the match mode speed that you want. Okay? The match mode speed that you want to obtain. So for me, my match mode speed that I want to attain on a speed reload is 1 second all the time. I don't ever want to be above 1 second really. You know, that's where I want to be. I want to be hitting 95 reloads all day, every day, forever. So 100% speed is going to look like that. It's going to be that 95 to, there we go. First one. Got a little wonky. That's starting to get to that 100% speed. And then once I start feeling the groove, okay. Now it's time to turn the juice on. Now it's time to just sling them, okay? Now when we're going 110% speed, I literally want the magazines to be on the ground as much as they're in the gun, okay? Everybody gets so hung up and they're like, and they mess up and they're like, damn it. And it's like, dude, you're in speed mode right now. You are trying to go faster than you can. You're trying to go as fast as you humanly can right now. And then you screw it up and get angry? Nah. Screwing it up is a blessing. 110% speed mode, where you do not care about anything but speed, that's about screwing up. So, if I'm here, I'm trying to literally do a 0.7 reload. Oh, better put the mag back in there. They're on the ground as much as in the gun. I mean, seriously, that is what it's about. Speed mode and 110% speed, that's what it's about. I'm not pissed that I missed the two. Okay? Okay, that's part of it. Like, seriously. When I'm doing shit that hard and that fast, there's as many misses as there is makes, probably more. Yeah, that 100%, that 100% in dry practice is basically what you want. That's your goal, right? And then you just keep working those percentages. Now the times and how fast you're actually moving and how fast you're physically able to do this shit, that all changes relatively as your skill changes. But the whole idea, the concept of 50%, 75%, 100%, and 110, That you can just take with you forever and keep running that same old, same old. Percentage of strong hand, weak hand. Okay, so strong hand, I want to be pretty freaking solid with my strong hand to the point where I'm almost as good with my strong hand as I am freestyle. Obviously, we're going to have some issues with recoil control. We are going to be slower. But I mean, as far as accuracy wise and as far as being able to shoot fairly freaking well with our strong hand, I think that's really, really important. Weak hand stuff, what I want to do with my weak hand is basically just be really accurate. I could care less about being fast with my weak hand, to tell you the truth. If you think about it, what's important, when, especially even in USPSA classifiers where weak hand, strong hand stuff comes up a lot. My strong hand, hey, it's on the gun all the time. It's got just as many rounds through it as I do, right? Okay, this thing has lots of rounds of doing this, right? And controlling recoil. I just got a little less help. So my strong hand, I want it to be pretty damn good. Weak hand, I don't give a shit about really being able to control recoil that well. I just want it to be accurate. I just want to be able to toss my gun over into my weak hand, present it, good presentation skills, finding your dot, all that kind of shit for sure needs to be there. And this shit right here, the 50%, I talked about this at the beginning. So this was meant to be just a video. I wasn't really going to do a live stream. I was going to do a video by doing it live because I don't have time. But as I present over, I want to work on presentation with the weak hand and be able to present really well with it. And then basically just want to be able to be really accurate with weak hand, not worry that much about recoil control. Now, time-wise, just basically, every 3 or 4 range visits, I do a heavy strong hand, weak hand day. You know, for me, I gotta practice so much to maintain skills at a certain level. Like, think about what I have to do. If I have to be super freaking good from concealment and super good from USPSA gear or like duty gear, all the shit, you know? So, and I got to do it with rifle too, and like I'm expected to be at this level, and I should be if I'm going to teach the shit. So I have to maintain skills on all these different fronts at a high level. So it's really hard for me to just hone in. I wish I could just disregard everything and focus 1000% on USPSA pistol shooting, but I just can't. So for me, I don't get to splice in those things as much as I would like to for my practice. But it would be nice if I could do it about every 3 to 4 range visits. I'm going to spend not necessarily the whole damn day on strong hand, weak hand, but a good maybe 200 rounds, 100 rounds through each hand, you know? And again, I know where I'm focusing. I'm putting some parameters there to where I'm saying, okay, accuracy is big with one hand. We're just not going to be able to control the recoil that well with one hand. So let's at least be really freaking accurate and confident that we can be accurate. And then, you know, it's just a 9mm or a 40 caliber or whatever the fuck it is. It's really not that big a deal recoil-wise. One thing that I tell people is that I'll be reiterating it. I talked about it a little bit. I let the gun kind of pick my whole arm up. Instead of trying to control recoil at the wrist, I kind of let it go, pick my whole arm up. And especially with weak hand. Now with strong hand and closer targets, I'm going to get behind it pretty hard and force it. You know, I'm a fairly big guy. I can kind of muscle it and make it do what I want it to. Weak hand though, I'm going to go poof, 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 and just kind of let it bend me at the elbow. So I don't want it to break my wrist because then my dot's flying all around like crazy. I want it to just kind of pick my elbow up or pick my whole arm up. And then I think, hey, you know, my forearm probably weighs damn 12 fucking pounds or something. So if I make that 9mm just pick my whole forearm up, that'll absorb and mitigate some of that recoil. Okay, so this is something I played with. Left eye dominant with the left hand. And I can tell you that it is something that I've played with. And if I really spent some time in it, I could make that happen. So what I would have to do is kind of squint my right eye just so that I can make sure. And it almost feels better when I do it, but then uh, when I'm shooting in live fire, because I haven't spent that much time with it, I haven't forced myself to do it in dry practice by using these principles of perfect reps and percentages. I haven't done that, so I just go right back to the right eye, and I just turn my head a little bit. Like, I kind of keep my head pointed just a tiny bit left and present the gun just a tiny bit to the right, and it all kind of works out. But it is something, you know, it's something to play with for sure. What's this say? Shot a match a couple weeks ago. USPSA, yeah. I mean, I like both. I enjoy IDPA. Not that I've shot a lot of it at all, but I went to probably 4 or 5 outlaw matches at this place not far from me, about an hour away. And they have tons of outlaw matches. They do have sanctioned USPSA and IDPA matches, but they have tons of outlaw stuff, and they're based on, they'll just use full USPSA rules on one and full IDPA rules on another. So they call them like defensive pistol competitions or sport pistol competitions or something like that. And I enjoy the IDPA stuff. People don't enjoy it because of the rules. And I'm like, it's a game. I'm just going to do whatever the rules tell me to do. So I enjoy it. And then as far as what else you said, rusty, but splits were good. Huh. I mean, usually splits are probably the least important thing out there. Uh, but as long as you feel like you're controlling recoil and you're confident in splitting fast, that's a super good thing. Um, in competition, lots of people think that shooting fast is the ticket, but it's more about, if you start really thinking about your practice as eliminating the dead time in between shooting, so from target to target is the biggest. Even movement, a lot of people and a lot of USPSA shooters that aren't that good at stand and shoot stuff, they focus really heavy on movement and think that movement is the name of the game. But it's just not. There's not that much. The movement side of it is, of course, you can't be slow, and there is tons of ways to make up time, and there's tons of aspects of the movement. But if you're even semi-athletic, just get really freaking good and really freaking confident in this. Bang, 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 bang. Get really confident and really good at that, and then, like I said at the beginning of this, I was talking about, I blow people's freaking minds with that shit in private classes. I'll have people run stages, and then I run them, and I purposely walk around the stage. But I transition really fast, and I shoot soon. You know, as I'm coming in, you know, flowing through, and I just kind of walk around the stage. Man, huge. So, let's talk about, while we're on the topic of short movement, let's talk about the benefits of, now that this has turned into just basically bullshitting, the benefits of getting low, right, and staying low. And this is not just for competition. This is about defensive shooting, shooting in any context whatsoever, the benefits of getting low is huge. So if we just get more used to being low all the time while we're shooting, and I don't mean like tactical turtle or like FBI crouch down or something. I don't mean that. I just mean, okay, take it like this. Most boxers or most fighters are going to have a little bit of a wider base, and they're going to have their legs bent pretty good. And next thing you know, you see, I just got 6 inches shorter. This is my stance for fighting. If I was going to fight you right now, this is the way I would come in. What's up? I'm 6 inches shorter right now. Guess what I want to be when I shoot? 6 inches shorter. Bent legs, I'm more explosive, better movement, stable, closer to the ground, better foot placement. And then also the biggest thing in USPSA is across the board, all those things I mentioned. But think about this. If you get low in the beginning and stay low, you don't change throughout. So if I'm shooting a little mini stage here, I didn't go like this. This is what most people do. And they go up and down. They stand up for these couple of shots because they're perceived harder or something. They need to settle in. They stand up. And then they're like, ooh, move a little bit. Oh, nice and aggressive, low. Bing, 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 bang, bang, bang. And then they get to the neck. Stand up. Up and down, up and down. What we want to do is get low, stay low. Just get that nice, comfortable 6 inches lower. Nice and right there. Knees bent. Squat to the ass. Feel your ass firing. And then you're in your power zone where you can explode better. Yep. Yeah, the get low thing is just huge. It's just for that one simple fact of you get in one posture and then you stay there the whole time. You never really go up and down. You're not standing up at this target and then squatting down and moving hard, or you're always one position, one height, basically. So when the buzzer goes off, you should drop down to that height, and then when you shoot your last shot, stand back up. So now obviously there's places where if you're leaning out around a barrier or some kind of weird shit, you're gonna have to stand up or whatever, but left eye, right-handed, finding the switch between eyes from time to time. Wow. Switching between eyes. So you're literally presenting the gun over to your other eye? Man, you got to pick an eyeball. You got to pick an eyeball and run with it. If you see yourself switching eyeballs, maybe like we were saying earlier, when you switch to left hand, use your left eye. I've heard of that before, but for you to be switching eyes, your head position or your presentation, one or the other, you're either doing this whole thing or doing that and presenting clear over. So you got to pick an eyeball and stick with it. And if you want to, this is an experiment that I've messed around with and made some people kind of work with it, because I have neutral eye dominance. So I could kind of choose which eye I wanted to use, but I chose my right eye because that's just the simplest. I'm right-handed, may as well be right-eyed. So occlude one eye and basically wear an eye patch, right? Make sure that you can, even if you're left eye dominant, just cover up your left eye and say, screw it, I'm going to force my brain to reprogram and use my right eye. And just dry practice for about a month with an eye patch on. Guaranteed you'll never have that issue again. 1 month, couple days a week, 20 minutes of dry practice with an eye patch on, and that way your eyeball is open, but it's occluded. so that your brain thinks that it's getting all that information, but it's only actually getting it from this eyeball, and it's going to, use that and say, okay, now I'm going to gather my info, especially when it comes to this whole shooting thing with that right eye. And with the whole red dot and target focus and being truly target focused, and that's another thing to work on. Turn your dot off in dry practice, kind of work on that where you're looking straight at those A zones and basically putting your window in between you and the target. Turning your dot on very, very dim in dry practice, playing around with that, and then the patch, forcing your brain to gather the info from that right eye, because there's plenty of people. Mike Panone's an M-class optic shooter, and he got his eye blown up in freaking God knows where, Afghanistan or somewhere, and so it's doable. If your brain only has one source of information, that's what it's going to do. It's going to pick up on that, and I would imagine about a month would do it. Yeah, for sure you want to be both eyes open if you absolutely possibly can. And then you can work on squinting a little bit or doing whatever just to kind of trick your brain into it. But both eyes open for sure. Yeah, you're switching eyeballs, you got way too much shit going on. No way, barriers, barricades, none of that should matter. Things should be happening way too fast for you to think about switching eyeballs, and then if your brain is kind of trying to choose which one to use and shit, that's just all a bunch of time slipping off. It's just time rolling away. Definitely gotta choose one and go with it. Now, it doesn't really matter if it's left or right. If you wanted to choose your left eye, if that's your dominant eye, but sounds to me, if you are swapping back and forth, then you're probably very, very minorly dominant. Okay, so your left eye may be dominant, but by a little bit. So I would imagine if you did the eye patch thing for about a month, that way both eyes are open, but your brain's forced to get information from that right eye. I guarantee that'll solve it. And for sure, if you're switching from both here and there, that's just time. Your brain's going flipping out, and then you're going to be hitting. That'd be weird as shit. Honestly, that's crazy. I've never heard of anybody doing that, but I mean, I don't doubt it. Especially if you do have a slight dominance, one way or the other. And I had an issue, like a struggle with this when I started, because everybody's like left eye dominant, right eye dominant, and I'm like, dude, I could use either one, and it feels and looks exactly the same. Like there's no, and then those little tests that everybody's having you do and shit, and I'm like, like what the fuck? This don't work. And my cousin's an optometrist. I talked to her, and she's like, yeah, you're probably neutral, and or have such a slight dominance either way that it matters not. So we poked around and checked it out, and sure enough, yeah, I just have no real dominance, so I can kind of choose. And then I figured, okay, screw it. So I did the old eye patch thing for about a week just to force myself to present. And then I also did in the mirror, to where I put a little piece of tape on the mirror, just a tiny little piece of tape, and then draw. And I wanted to put my front sight right on that piece of tape, and it would line straight up with my eyeball. So I'm looking out of my eyeball, through my sights, into the tape, into the mirror, back through, and through my eyeball again. Basically just like this, of looking into that. Right? Can you guys see my dot? When I present, can you see my dot? That's cool. Wonder if it's shows up. Okay. It looks like you'd be able to like see my dot through there. Oh, okay. That's a reflection, but um, yeah, and your presentation, all that stuff, that ability right there that I have to go and put my eyeball right in line with that little camera. I'm basically putting my dot, trying to right on the tiny little, thing on my iPad. That's all from doing this shit. 50%, 75%, 100%, 110%, and presenting that gun and feeling that presentation to where I know, guaranteed. All right, let's do this experiment. Probably make myself look like a dumbass. So, how much am I off when my eyes aren't open? I have no visual reference. Okay, that one was a little off. But I can't tell really. I'm opening my eyes, but by that time I've probably moved a little bit. So that feeling of I can feel that I can push that gun out, and when I go from right here and I already have a grip on the gun, it's going to be real damn similar every time. It's just all that kind of shit, up, down, side to side, top triangle, where my grip goes and locks onto the gun, my fingertips digging into certain places, the back of my hand digging into certain places, my wrist angle, like all that shit. And that's something that we could talk about real quick here before we get done here. I don't want to make this long. I was going to do it for like 20 minutes, but that never fucking happens. Yeah, when I'm doing that with my eyeballs open, or my eyes closed, I'm hoping that the point was coming across that it should be fairly close, right? And that's with no visual input, because we don't realize it, but our brains are extremely smart. So as the gun comes up like this, I see the hood of my RMR or dot, and as I'm bringing it up, I can make micro adjustments. Just like with iron sights, we present the gun and we think, oh, there it is, perfect, equal height, equal light, all that shit. But our brain is so fast and so smart that it's making micro subconscious adjustments before we even realize it. That's why when people get a red dot and they're like, where's the dot? Well, if you're off on alignment by a millimeter, your dot isn't in the window. So right here is dead nut center of my window. Right there is gone. Center, gone. Center, gone. So just a hair, the hair of the beaver is all it takes. People freak out, but it's just you gotta be on point. You gotta feel this stuff. Perfect freaking reps. And then we'll talk about top triangle index and how much it means for confidence. That's what I want to speak on. So if I forget. So top triangle index, how much it means. Why is top triangle index the index in which you present the gun in front of your face? You put that gun in between the face and the target. Why is that the most important thing in all of shooting? In my opinion. Now that encompasses a few things. That's not just top triangle index. That encompasses the grip, the arm position, the whole thing, right? That has grip involved in it. So why that is because once we get real freaking confident with that top triangle index, that's what allows us to freaking shred. Okay, that's what allows us to do serious work. And that's what allows us to move like a GM. So when I talk about that move like a GM thing, that basically just means move like a big swinging dick. All right? So you just got that big dick energy, that confidence where you just know, hey, look, guys, all this is ain't nothing but a bunch of cardboard. I'm just gonna fuck all this up, right? So just look out and hit the buzzer. All right, this is just look out. Um, that comes from top triangle index. That comes from grip. Grip is part of that top triangle index, but that comes from this. What's up, dog? This is it. Once I'm here, I am as confident as it gets. Now, there's a bit of a mental side to this where you need to almost fake it till you make it. So everybody that I train with and talk to, I want them to start adopting not necessarily a cockiness or an ego. I don't want you to tell people about it necessarily. I want you to think about it in your own practice, and you don't necessarily have to take it to the match. We probably want to dial it back a little bit at the match, but I want you to act like you're 10 times better than what you are. Okay? And I want you to shoot that way. I want you to freaking shoot like you're so confident you're going to just destroy this shit. Just force yourself to believe it. Fake it till you make it. And again, I don't want you to tell people that you're good or you're better than you are or any of that shit. I don't want you to take it to the match necessarily. A little bit of it. But in your own practice, you want to tell yourself, look, I am better than what I am. I'm carrying a certain energy, right? I'm carrying myself in a certain way. Now, if you don't have any of the requisite time put in or experience or any of that, yeah, this is probably not the way to go. This is once you get to at least a certain level. But most people watching this right now, or watching it coming up, are probably at that level. Okay, if you're a day one beginner, then yeah, probably just kind of chill, get your experience, get some rounds in you, get some training, get some movement patterns going, figure your shit out. But then the mental side of this is confidence, confidence, confidence. Why do boxers and fighters and shit come off cocky? Because they are. They have to be. They literally tell themselves when they say that they're the best in the world. Maybe deep down somewhere they know that not to be true, but damn sure they ain't gonna let that thought creep into their head. They're gonna say, "I am the best." To get in there and perform and execute and to get in there and stare at another human that wants to kick my ass and do bodily harm to me, and this is just a problem with physical consequences, like to get in there and do that, you have to have a level of that ridiculous confidence and self-belief, even if it's misguided. Shooting is really no different. You can take that same style of racing dirt bikes was the same kind of way because dire physical consequences to what you were doing. And if you wanted to run up front, that meant you had to ride like an asshole. You had to ride like a nutcase for at least the first lap to race A class or get a pro license. The first lap is insane. It's insane. Just kids are insane. They have no semblance, no even idea that bad shit can happen. It's ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous shit. And you have to develop some sort of crazy confidence level and ego to you to be able to do that. It's just how it is. It really is. So I take the same kind of shooting mentality or same mentality into shooting and try to really, tell myself that I am good enough to do anything. I don't give a shit what it is. Like, I don't care what it is. I am good enough. I'll do that. Because I think that I have the requisite skills. Now, whether I do or not, we'll find out. But I think that I do. And one, that's because of all the time and work I've put in. But on the other hand, a lot of people that have put in just as much time and just as much work as I have, they don't think like that and then they can't execute. It's like, dude, just tell yourself that you can do it. Now, on the actual physical technique side of the house, that comes from top triangle index. That comes from being so freaking confident that when you present that gun in front of your face, you can do serious work with it. When you present that gun in front of your face, it's lined up on the target without these things or without this thing even telling you. it's lined up. I'm good. I can shoot. I don't need visual input or mental input, meaning I don't need to slow down for it. So basically, at 7 yards to 10 yards, about 10 yards, 11 yards, is where I'm going to start using my brain or my eyeballs really at all. Behind or 7 yards and closer, I'm relying 100% on confidence, 100% on physical input, and basically, maybe not 100%, 95% on confidence and physical input. My eyeballs and my brain at that point are kind of along for the ride. They see what's going on, they notice it, they process it. My brain and my eyes are just fast enough to maybe stop me from doing something really dumb, or notice that I pulled a shot and make it up, or something like that. But you if you get this index to where you really do build a level of confidence in it, and then walk around big swinging dick energy, when you're at the range and you're about to do work, it will start to manifest itself into driving through targets. It'll start to manifest itself into doing serious work that you didn't think you could do. Just freaking do it. I'm telling you. These are mental little things that I've done. Nowadays, I kind of just say, hey, I got the requisite skills. I know what I'm doing. I can do this shit. But when I was coming up, trying to get my skills to where I needed them, or where I wanted them, that's what I did. I just kind of told myself in practice and you know, built myself up until I believed it. Till I truly believed the shit that I was saying to myself. And then all of a sudden, shit started happening. So okay, that elusive bill drill, the under 2 seconds from concealment. I just told myself, I can do this. I'm not putting the skills up on a pedestal anymore. I'm not doing it. I'm freaking going to the range today, and I'm going to do that. Bam. Do it. Did it. And then just start checking shit off. Then you start to build, you're fooling yourself a little bit. You're faking it a little bit. You're building up a little bit of kind of bullshit confidence. Hey, whatever. Who cares? Just like every fighter that gets in the ring who isn't as good as he says he is. Every fighter ever says they're the best in the world. All but one are wrong, are full of shit, but they all have to do that. So after a while, you start to actually gain those skills, and then next thing you know, your kind of fantasy confidence and your real confidence, realistic confidence, start to match up together, and you start doing serious work. And then you start to get to a point where you're just like, oh, I can do that. I can do that, and I will be disappointed if I don't do that. Not I'll be psyched if I do it. I'll be disappointed if I don't. Right? You put this stuff on a pedestal, and you're always going to be putting the pussy on a pedestal. You know who doesn't get pussy? Guys that put it on a pedestal. Okay? I mean, it really is that simple. It really is. Don't put the pussy on a pedestal. Don't put the skills on a pedestal. Just say, hey, they're not up here. They're right there. I'm going to get them. I'll grab them some bitches. I'm going to take them with me. And that's going to be the end of it. And then eventually you start doing the work, and you just don't, that's how it is. It really is. Now, a lot of people might not say that. I don't have a problem saying the shit. I give you guys everything that I can. I give you every ounce of what I teach and do. I give it all away on YouTube, and same as my classes or whatever. I'm not selling secret sauce. It's all the same. And this part of what I talk about is a lot of the mental game of it. When I get an A-class shooter, most of the time their mechanics and stuff are pretty solid. I can't make them a ton of gains on just mechanics and efficiency and stuff. There's a few tweaks we can make, or this or that or whatever, but 90% of that stuff is mental, getting them to have that energy, have that confidence, and believe in themselves, and put in the requisite work, and then believe in that work. And the way you work, the purposeful practice, all that kind of stuff, it all builds. It all lays on top, and it's building blocks to get where you need to go. And then for defensive use, it's the exact same principles. I mean, the more confidence you have, the more confidence you have. The more you're going to be able to make better decisions. So, top triangle index. If we got some takeaways from this evening, we've got the practice model of doing perfect reps, 50%, 75%, 100% means the match mode that you want to be at, not necessarily the match mode that you are at now. The match mode speeds and the proficiency that you want to be at. And then 110% speed means literally screwing it up as many times as you get it right. Like going for ludicrous speed. And that's all. 50%, 75%, 100%, 110. Get low, stay low. Right? So that's a huge one. And then strong hand, weak hand, kind of bullshit about that. And top triangle. And then don't put the pussy on a pedestal, and you'll get it for sure. So top triangle index, make sure that you are spending as much time on your top triangle and your grip, consistency, and being able to present that gun in front of your eyeball and putting the gun. Don't think of it as presenting the gun to the target or whatever. Just think of it as you're staring at the target, meaning you're tying a string from the A in the target, shooting a cable from your eyeball to that A, and basically putting your sight in the middle of it, hooking your sight onto that cable. Or you're shooting a laser beam from here to there, and you need to just make it go through this hula hoop, through that sight. Put it in between there. Then feel the shit out of it. Start getting more tactile. Start feeling everything. Yes, make the sights appear between you and the target. It's literally all you have to do. I think a little bit of some people's problems with, especially when they're finding the dot stuff, is they're not actually target focusing. Like a full pure target focus is actually a little bit of a hard thing to learn, and a lot of people don't realize it. But they're actually what we used to call getting sucked into the tube on like an aim point or an LVPO or something on a rifle. Same deal with this. So that's what I tell people all the time. They don't realize it, but they get sucked into the tube of the window, and now instead of looking at the atmosphere, instead of looking at the environment, and this just happening to be in the environment, they're looking through this tube. And by that, they are tunneling through this little tube, and now next thing you know, they've cut off a good portion of the environment. So when you go into targets and shit, you're slower because you're looking through a toilet paper roll. Think about it. And finding a target. True target focus. Practicing dry fire with no dot on. No dot whatsoever, or a very, very dim dot. So that you can notice your dot. You can notice it just a little tiny bit. But you're actually not referencing it. You're not wiggling the gun around to put the dot where it needs to be precisely. And then one tip I'll leave you with. This is where we'll end her. Shoot A's and C's in your practice. Go way freaking faster. Shoot A's and C's as fast as you possibly can. Just stop saying you want a 2-inch group. Or if you're shooting USPSA targets, stop saying you want all A's. At the match, try to shoot A's. And in practice, try to shoot A's. But don't say, I missed I pulled a Charlie. You know, I say that sometimes on film and stuff, but you guys see about 5% of my shooting that's actually on film. I fire up the camera and talk and bullshit and shoot some shit, and then that's it. Most of my practice is behind the scenes, and a lot of my classes, basically 90% of my classes, are forcing a person to shoot A's and C's extremely fast. And then we rein it back in, and I tell them, okay, now give me a run with all A's. And they hit PRs. Shoot A's and C's in practice. Freaking fly. Run faster and faster and faster all the time. Push yourself. Okay? Hard as you possibly can. Shoot A's and C's. Don't worry about that A zone. And damn sure, don't be putting 3-inch circles up and shit and trying to hit them all day long. Don't do that. Okay? I mean, other people have different opinions. But, and I'm not saying I'm the best shooter in the world, but these ways of doing things will allow you to have absolute speed that doesn't degrade your accuracy any. Other ways of doing things, and a lot of the doctrinal ways of doing things will give you that good accuracy, but I don't see them guys shooting at the speeds that I am, or that several other people that agree with this philosophy are doing. I'm not the only one. You know, this is a mindset of a lot of USPSA shooters, but going a step further than that even, and not just saying shooting fast, literally shoot A's and C's. Practice all day, A's and C's, A's and C's, A's and C's. At the end of the day, put down a match mode run or whatever, trying to shoot your A's. I guarantee you'll be doing more work than you ever have. Get low, stay low, get your top triangle index solid. You know, it is what it is, baby. Yep. Shred. Let her rip. And then for defensive guys are always worried about this little group. And I'm like, you know, I can shoot groups with the best of them, but in a defensive context, you know what I want to do? I just want to shoot the shit out of them. I mean, seriously. I'm going to shoot about 25 splits because that's plenty of time to react and stop shooting in between, especially for a guy that shoots fast. The faster you shoot in practice, the more ability you're going to have to make better decisions in a defensive context. So I'm just going to literally shoot the shit out of them. If it doesn't make sense to you and you just want to shoot 2-inch circles all day and shit and think that that's tactical, I can't help you. Yeah, spread the shot pattern out, baby. Now that's getting a little too tactical. All right, guys, take her easy. I hope this was helpful to somebody. See you guys. I got a couple little short videos and shit we're going to put out this week. My iPhone was going crazy at the range. I had a good video I was going to do, but that didn't happen. So, all right, man. Take her easy.